Released by Sega in 2000 for the Dreamcast and later ported to the Nintendo GameCube, Skies of Arcadia would be a new IP from a team composed of former Panzer Dragoon and Phantasy Star series staff. Directed by Atsushi Samiya, who worked on Streets of Rage, and written by Shuntaro Tanaka, who would later direct Valkyria Chronicles, the focus was to make a bright and colorful world with rewarding exploration and expressive characters. For story, the game features the main character Vice, an optimistic young air pirate, alongside his female companions Aika and Fina. There is a fourth party slot that is filled with one of 3 rotating guest characters, and the player builds their own crew among 22 other minor characters. For gameplay, battles field all 4 characters in turn-based combat, though characters and enemies can move around an open area between turns. Magic and special attacks draw from a shared party resource, and characters can spontaneously change the element of their weapons to not only take advantage of enemy weaknesses, but also increase the rate they learn advanced magic. There is a unique strategic naval battle system used when the player's ship duels in a sky battle, as battle choices are selected in advance and the results are played out in sequence until one side sinks. In addition, there are several timed events, side quests, and bounty hunts to expand the world. Keep in mind, extra backstory, fixes, and adjustments were added in the GameCube port Skies of Arcadia Legends covered here. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. As the game begins, we see a girl named Fina attempting to escape from Admiral Alfonso of the Valuan Empire, though they succeed in knocking her out. As they capture her, they're surprised to suddenly be raided by a bold air pirate crew, as a young man leaps aboard, introducing himself confidently as Vice of the Blue Rogues. He's joined by his partner Aika and his father Dine, who is leading the heist and orders them to shut down the ship's engines. Within, Vice passes by Alfonso with a kidnapped Fina as he makes his escape, and Vice makes a snap decision to rescue the girl and punish the cowardly captain. Alfonso sacrifices his ship and crew to the pirates after the loss, getting away with his life, and Vice accepts the victory. Taking Fina back with them, she recovers after some rest and is welcomed by Vice and Aika aboard the airship Albatross. They explain they're sky pirates who live by stealing cargo from others, but emphasize they are Blue Rogues, a faction that only robs from armed ships, especially the Imperial Armada. Opposing them are the Black Pirates, who will attack anyone, especially unarmed craft, while their crew specifically rob the rich and give to the poor. Returning back to their base, Pirate Island, Dine questions Fina's mysterious outfit and origins, but she refuses to reveal anything about her mission at this time. Not sensing a threat from her, they allow her to wander around town, and after Vice peeks in on Aika freshening up, they watch the sunset together, dreaming about the possibilities beyond the horizon. Suddenly, they spot a moonstone fall from the heavens and land on the nearby Shrine Island. As moonstones are incredibly rare and valuable pieces of rock that fall from the moons, they hurry the next day to retrieve the moonstone. Vice and Aika move ahead, draining the flooded ruin, and find the moonstone first. An ancient guardian rumbles awake to obstruct the duo, but the partners' teamwork is more than enough to triumph and earn the raw moonstone. Meanwhile, the Blue Rogues suddenly find themselves surprised by the Imperial Armada led by Admiral Galcian personally, as he lays siege to the pirate HQ in search for Fina. By the time Vice gets back, most of the village has been taken prisoner, the Albatross has been destroyed, and Fina has once again been captured. Knowing that in Valua they punish pirates with death, Vice wastes no time, declaring his intent to save everyone. Meanwhile, Fina is brought before Galcian, who knows she is from the Silver Civilization. As Vice sets off for Valua, he encounters an unusual fog bank, and to his surprise, a giant sky creature called an arc whale flies past them. Temperamental, the wild beast notices them and knocks their ship out of the sky. The next thing he knows, Vice and Aika wake up on the deck to a grumpy sailor named Drachma, an old man with an artificial limb, who is furious at Vice for letting Rochnum, the arc whale, escape after spending years chasing it, as debris from Vice's ship hit Drachma's sails, though Drachma still saved them both. Informing him they can either work to keep themselves on the ship or jump off, Vice explains their urgency for getting to Valua. While Drachma understands, he still doesn't care, and so he takes the two to Sailor's Island on his ship the Little Jack, visibly a piece of junk, but has had a few modifications made. There he explains that after he gets a cannon powerful enough to kill Rochnum, he's leaving, and they can stay there and get a ride to Valua from someone else. It turns out Drachma is quite infamous too, right behind the Angel of Death and Gilder the Unfettered in terms of most wanted by the Empire. They also learn about a powerful harpoon cannon in Valua that may be of use to him. In exchange for this information, they get him to agree to take them to the Empire. Along the way, they encounter the wanted pirate Baltor, duel him in the open skies, and between Drachma's experience and command, and Vice's sailing, they outmaneuver and defeat the bounty. Getting a passport to sneak in the front door of Valua, they marvel at the defenses of the fortress guarding the city, and Drachma notes the only way in or out is this gate, as getting in was one thing, but escaping out is entirely another. Meanwhile, Galcian holds a meeting with his main admirals, Alfonso, Gregorio, Vigoro, Beleza, and Deloco, explaining that Fina will aid them in finding 6 specific crystals around the world, and noting Alfonso's treachery in relieving him of duty. Back with the group, they land in the poor district of the city, and while Drachma stays to tend to the harpoon cannon, Vice and Ica begin their rescue mission, as they hear there will be a public execution of their friends in the Colosseum. A street urchin named Marco overhears their plan and is caught by Vice after a rooftop chase, but his knowledge of the sewers gives him an idea. Using it to break into the execution grounds, Vice succeeds in getting his dad off the chopping block, upends the executioner, and gets away with applause from the lower city crowd. Dine tells them Fina was taken to the castle to meet the Empress personally but doesn't know why, mentioning that despite the danger, this is the best time to rescue her. Drachma opts to take the Blue Rogues back to his ship while Vice and Ica move ahead. Meanwhile, Fina is presented to the Empress Theodora, who gleefully announces her intent to rule the world with the power they are about to acquire, though her son Enrique voices his doubt on ruling the world by force. She reveals there are 6 moon crystals around the world, and controlling them means controlling weapons of mass destruction, the Gigas. Fina warns them about the power of the Gigas and refuses to cooperate, resulting in her getting knocked down just as word reaches them of the Blue Rogue's escape. Galcian offers to take Fina with him to retrieve the crystals and requests his vice captain Ramirez, a name Fina recognizes, be promoted to admiral to replace Alfonso, and she allows it. As Fina is getting transported to the Grand Fortress, she's spotted by Vice, who leaps aboard her train car to catch up, though Galcian is right on their heels personally. Hurrying to free Fina, they lock stairs against Galcian, but right before he strikes, the little Jack swoops in to blow the side of the train wide open, separating the cars and forcing Galcian away. Making their getaway, the gates to the fortress begin to close, and a blockade begins to form. The small size of the Little Jack is able to evade the large cannons of the fortress, and the harpoon cannon is powerful enough to clear a path to slide by the closing of the gate, making a legendary escape. Elated by the victory, they make it back to Pirate Isle, where Fina decides to trust the group and reveal her secret mission. She explains she is a Sylvite, descendant of the Silver Civilization. Long ago there were 6 civilizations, each under one of the 6 moons, each harnessing the power of their respective moon to launch a technological revolution. The leaders, wielding ambition and power, led to war with each other, culminating in the creation of massive living weapons called Gigas, capable of destroying entire islands. Countless people died to the Gigas until the Rains of Destruction occurred, in which massive moonstones fell from each of the moons, wiping out the ancient civilizations and leaving only a few survivors. Now, the Valuan Empire is looking to revive the ancient calamities and control them with the hidden moon crystals. As a result, she was sent to gather the crystals and put them where no one can use them, but without her ship she cannot succeed. She now asks Vice and Ica to help her collect the crystals, and the duo don't hesitate to accept, eager to start this new adventure. Given a blessing to leave by his father and former captain, Vice is now his own man to roam the skies, as Fina joins the party and points him to the nearby crystalline Nazir. The overbearing heat of the Red Moon greets them as Nazir is a barren desert land, but to their surprise, Drachma pulls away as they get off, reminding them his main concern is hunting Rochnum, not finding crystals in temples, so he's done babysitting them and parts ways. Forcibly stranded with no way but forward, Vice gathers information and checks out the local scenery, catching the eye of a dancer named Belena, who overhears them, knows of their exploit in the Empire, and agrees to loan them a ship to get to the temple. Elsewhere, Drachma has some second thoughts about abandoning the group, but notices a special Imperial ship hovering around Nazir. Ica finds it awfully suspicious that Belena is helping them out of the blue, but she explains 20 years ago during the Empire-Nazir War, she lost her parents, and so hates war and wants to help them to that effect. Finding the Temple of Pyron, they solve the puzzles and fight the lurking monsters within to recover the Red Moon Crystal with relative ease. Upon exit, Belena reveals herself to be Beleza, Imperial Admiral, and seizes the crystal from their hand. She admits her past story was true, and believes with the power of the Gigas, wars will end as everyone will be united under the Empire. She then uses the power of the Red Crystal to summon the Red Gigas to destroy the party as she gets away, and as it awakens, it takes aim at the group. A surprise hit knocks its aim aside, leveling the terrain around the group, as they see Drachma has come to rescue them once more. Attempting to engage the threat, the group finds themselves overwhelmed by the Gigas, and forced to retreat, though Fina suggests taking up Beleza, as she was the one to initially command it. Targeting the Admiral's flagship, Vice's quick thinking is able to outfox the wily Beleza, sinking her ship and forcing her to call off the Gigas. Reclaiming the crystal, Fina says their next destination is the land of the Green Moon Ixtataca, and Beleza announces they already have troops there, not to mention the South Ocean to reach it, as headwinds too strong for the Little Jack. Drachma then replies he'll be taking their engines and magic cannons, and the Little Jack soars towards the southern jungles after an immense overhaul. Encountering defeating the infamous pirate hunter Piastel, they spare her life, though she notes something personal and distinct about Vice in particular. Piastel claims Weiss was among the pirates who killed her family, telling them that 10 years ago she was aboard her father's Imperial flagship Aquila, and that night there was an explosion that forced them to abandon ship. Among the flames, she saw an air pirate ship and a young Aika, believing them to be the cause. Defending herself, she threw a knife at Aika, but missed because a young Weiss leapt in to save her, getting slashed under the eye instead. Later, she would learn her father did not die from the fire, but from a sword wound. Also, her little sister was nowhere to be found, and since then she has sworn to get revenge on all pirates, especially the ones responsible for destroying her life. Aika insists they did not attack her father's ship, but instead happened to be around and boarded it to try and rescue survivors, but Piastel refuses to believe them. Making it to the lush forest of Ixataka, they land outside a tribal village there and find the locals unwelcoming. Speaking to the elder, they find out Valua attacked their people and forced many into slavery to harvest moon rocks from the fertile lands. Scouting, they spot Admiral DeLoco and his fleet burning down the jungle in order to find the temple, and Weiss quickly intervenes to sink the mad scientist as soon as possible, driving him away and earning the trust of the natives, but the priest who knows the way to the temple is still captured. Entering the mines where the natives have been taken as slaves in order to rescue them, they cross blades with Alfonso, who has been serving as demotion here at this facility. Getting past DeLoco's traps that almost turn them into a sandwich, they free the slaves and discover the Temple of Rixus. Within the Lost City, they find some ancient writing that Fina is able to read, and learn the Sylvites came to contain the rampaging Gigas in the past, but the crystal is nowhere to be found. Detecting someone spying on them, they see it's a high priest sent by the king earlier, and he spills that the king already claimed the crystal, and was planning to use it to summon their Gigas and destroy the invading Valuan forces. As it turns out, sending Weiss here was a distraction, as the king and priest summon the green Gigas, and it effortlessly knocks the Valuan fleet out of the air. Alfonso retreats once again, though DeLoco stays his ground to test his experimental moonstone cannon, and takes aim at the king, knowing it will stop the Gigas. Dueling once more against DeLoco, the party wins and forces Valua into a retreat, though the Gigas is still running around berserk. Thinking quickly, the nimble Little Jack lures the beast into a tight canyon and traps it, buying enough time to get the king to call back the beast. After things calm down, the king expresses his thanks to Weiss for saving his people and land, allowing them to take the Green Moon Crystal with them. The king also points out the Valuans fled to the north, removing the sky barrier placed there, meaning there is now another entry point into Valua that they can take advantage of to claim their yellow crystal. Along the way, they fight another black pirate who recognizes Drachma as the sailor chasing Rochnum in order to avenge his son, a story Drachma refuses to elaborate on as his thoughts wander now. Now in Valuan airspace, they navigate the stormy skies and locate the Great Seal, the Maw of Tardis, which contains both the yellow crystal and the Gigas beneath. A patrol group spots them, and after winning the fight, the group learns Valua isn't concerned with their own crystal since it's safely sealed and is now beginning to start a war with Nazir. Not to mention, a giant arc whale is impeding the path of the fleet, so they've sent an admiral to hunt it down. Drachma snaps alert and turns to the group, pointing out he's done them multiple favors, and now it's time to pay them back and follow him to hunt Rochnum. Since the yellow crystal isn't going anywhere, they agree, and begin hunting the giant whale together. That night, Drachma opens up to Weiss, saying he used to have a son around his age named Jack, and when they were fishing, Rochnum appeared. They foolishly tried to fight the whale together, but the arc whale easily destroyed their ship, and Drachma barely survived, witnessing his son and crew plunge to their death and swearing revenge ever since. Suddenly, hearing Rochnum, they see it actually fleeing from the newly appointed Admiral Ramirez's black ship. Choosing to leap in, they take out the smaller Imperial ships first and sink the harpoon cannon into the arc whale. Ramirez tails behind them and opens fire on them both, and the Little Jack is critically damaged and failing quickly. Weiss urges them to abandon ship, but Drachma refuses to abandon his ship and quarry. Weiss convinces him to survive and hunt another day, but Drachma gives them the slip, sending all three of them off in lifeboats and choosing to stay behind in the fiery wreckage. Not out of the clear yet, Weiss is shocked to see Ramirez firing at them even in lifeboats as they're all sent spiraling away. The next thing he knows, Weiss wakes up alone marooned on a small island. He's not the first, as he finds the remains of an old sailor named Gonzalez here too, with the map still on him, and the remains of his camp still intact. Elsewhere, Aika and Fina wake up safe and sound in a luxurious suite, in care of their rescuer, a fellow Blue Rogues air pirate named Clara, who is en route to Nasra, capital of Nazir at the moment, and drops them off as she leaves on personal business. Meanwhile, Weiss struggles to survive foraging for food, building a signal fire and trying to fix his lifeboat. After 2 weeks, a passing ship spots his signal fire, and its captain is actually the infamous but womanizing air pirate Gilder on his ship Claudia. After talking, Gilder loves the boldness of Weiss and his unbelievable victories against the Empire, and informs him their route to Nazrad. Gilder's habit of a new woman every night catches up to him, as is Clara, who is now after him, intent to settle him down. Throwing her off course, Gilder and Weiss make it to Nasra, and as luck has it, just miss running to Aika and Fina, who help an old man in the street, and he gives them his half of a friend Gonzalez's treasure map as thanks. Both teams realize their half leads to a legendary treasure, and immediately make it their goal to find it as soon as possible. Weiss pauses to at least warn the Sultan that Valua is planning to attack, but the overconfident ruler dismisses the message. Arriving on the same treasure island, both teams unknowingly approach the double-ended dungeon and cooperatively solve the various partner puzzles within, finding the final treasure together. Overjoyed, the trio is reunited, but while they were off on an adventure, Ramirez is flanked in Nasra from a previously secure natural barrier, making it completely defenseless against his siege. As soon as the party returns, they witness firsthand the royal palace get bombarded by Ramirez's unexpected fleet. On the ground, Ramirez himself steps out from the flames to call out Fina personally, and Fina urges them all to surrender, warning them they cannot beat him right now. Complying, the group is captured and taken to the Grand Fortress back in Valua, losing both the red and green moon crystals. Galcian now reports to the Queen that Nazir, the only country with a formidable fleet, is done for, so their air superiority is assured now. As the group now waits in their cells, Aika is personally assaulted by Admiral Vigoro, though Gilder's crew sends word through his parrot Willie that they'll be assisting them in escaping, as Gilder proves this isn't the first time he's escaped a jail cell. They interrupt Vigoro mid-molesting, and beat him down long enough to escape together. Meanwhile, Prince Enrique is down in the cells, wishing to speak to Weiss personally, but sees he just missed him escaping again. Also, Fina speaks to Ramirez, demanding to know why he joined Valua, and he corrects her, saying he only fights for Galcian before moving on. Right behind him is Weiss, quickly rescuing Fina once more, and Gilder suggests they steal one of the Valuan ships and sneak out that way. Entering the harbor, they fight past the tank and are surprised to be approached by Prince Enrique, who calmly brings them to the bridge of his own personal flagship, the prototype battleship Delphinus, of which Valua intends to make a fleet of in order to secure world domination. He explains he wants the group to not only take this ship, but also him away from Valua, as being the prince of the empire, he feels all the innocent blood spilt by his mother's ambition is on his hands as well, and he wants to start making things right. Weiss agrees, but says he doesn't take hostages, so if Enrique wants to come along, it'll have to be as a blue rogue, and Enrique gladly accepts. Before they leave, he returns to the crystals the Empire took from them, having stole them during the confusion. Leaving the Delphinus, its maiden voyage kicks off by punching through the undaunted fortress walls with the completed Moonstone cannon that the Loco tested above Ixtaka. With the power to rival Gigas, the Delphinus is the only ship in the Armada to be equipped with the final version. Blasting through the Grand Fortress, this marks the second time Weiss has escaped the inescapable city. In the clear, the group cheers their victory and unanimously votes Weiss as the captain for the new ship, marking the realization of his longtime dream. Checking out the ship, they find Marco the Urchin, somehow stolen away, who was intent to escape Valua, travel the world and meet Weiss again, insisting on becoming the first new crew member of Weiss's new ship. Everything settled, Gilder takes his leave, having enjoyed the adventure, but leaves with the veteran advice of gathering a crew, not just to manage this large ship, but to also join the fight against Valua. Next, Weiss will need a base of operations, and he suggests the island they found on Marundon would be great. Finally, he encourages him to never give up and lose heart, especially in light of all he's accomplished and is about to accomplish. Returning to Sailor's Island, the gathering of allies begins, and Weiss also converts Crescent Isle into his home base. As they wait for the construction to complete, Aika asks Fina about Ramirez, and Fina reveals he too is a Sylvite, and as their people's best warrior, was the original one to go out and retrieve the crystal to oppose Valua, so it's odd he now fights for them. They encounter a freelance ship doctor who used to work for Admiral Mendoza of the Imperial Armada until he died in the war, and guardianship of his daughter Maria fell to him. As they gather moonfish to feed Maria's bird to make her happy, the doctor reveals one day Mendoza encountered Ramirez injured out in the world, but seeing his amazing potential, raised him like a son in the Imperial Armada. Ramirez openly opposed Valua's tyrannical ways, and Mendoza agreed with him. He also opposed the cruel but accomplished Galcian, and Galcian warned Ramirez not to place too much blind trust into anyone. He was told power was the only thing he could believe in, and when Ramirez would learn that is when Galcian would recognize him. Taking this to heart, Ramirez learned of some corrupt dealings of Mendoza of his own. Confronting Mendoza on this, Mendoza then chose to silence Ramirez, but Ramirez was too good and killed the Admiral and his guards. Disillusioned, he set fire to the Admiral's ship Aquila and left to join Galcian's side, following power and becoming distrustful of humans. Weiss and the others recognized the ship name immediately and confirmed Maria as Piastel's long-lost sister. Encountering Piastel again, they defeat her once more, and she falls dejected at her failure to seize revenge, as she actually believes Weiss is innocent, but has been living for revenge for so long. They reveal the Doctor and Maria are alive and where they were, and disarmed, Piastel chooses to end her career as the Angel of Death pirate hunter and rediscover her lost family thanks to Vice. The next day, the group resumes their hunt for the crystals, and the next one is the land of the watery blue moon, Yafutoma. Along the way, they are trailed by the honorable and stalwart Admiral Gregorio, who has been tasked with retrieving the prince, and is willing to hold the town they're staying in hostage to accomplish it. The power of the Delphinus in the hands of Vice is laid bare, as the ship single-handedly takes down Gregorio's armada and forces him to back off. Enrique faces his mentor and tells him that he noticed the Empire has turned down a dark path, and because he loves his mother and country is why he must leave and join Vice in his fight to make things right. Leaving, the group then does the unthinkable and sails into the foreboding maelstrom known as the Dark Rift, navigating past the eerie terrain and menacing monsters of the deep before emerging on the other side miraculously. Approaching Yafutoma, they are attacked by a set of air pirates never before seen, with unusual architecture and the ability to sail higher than they've ever thought possible, though Fina points out the Blue Moon here has blessed the people with the power of water and air, enabling unmatched maneuverability. As they make it to the mythical land of Yafutoma, the people there are amazed at the cultural and racial differences of the two, and Vice is allowed to see the king. The king is diplomatic and explains they know of the crystal they seek, but mentions it has been long lost underwater beneath a depleted volcano, and Vice offers to look for it and bring it back as he sets off. Solving the water puzzles within, the party is successful in finding the long-lost Blue Moon crystal and return it into the hands of the king. They do ask if they can borrow it, but there is some pushback, as the crystal is a symbol of royal succession, so the king insists he hold on to it while they're still here. At the same time, there is a plot for the advisor's son to marry the king's daughter Moegi and become next for the throne, and Beleza and Vigoro appear to help this along. They overthrow the king and hunt down Vice, but fortunately Moegi helps him escape, who has taken a keen interest in Enrique. She leads them to her brother Daigo, who was exiled due to another plot of the advisor, and whom also turns out to be the leader of the air pirates here. He agrees it's time for him to return and take back his country and his place as prince, while mentioning he approves the manner with which Enrique and Moegi get along. With the Delphinus captured by the Armada, Vice joins Daigo and his fleet as they engage the Valuans head-on with the intent to distract them, while Vice steals back the Delphinus and clinch their victory. The Valuan ships are stronger, but the maneuverability of the Yafutoman ships keeps the battle even. Seeing a window and leaping aboard a ship, Vice easily reclaims the Delphinus from the royal advisor's cowardly son, just in time for Vigoro to swoop in and compare cannon sizes. After kicking him between the anchors, Beleza comes in as support, but everyone is interrupted as the treacherous advisor comes in, having summoned the Blue Moon Gigas that easily sweeps clear the battlefield. Unable to hold formation as their ships are helplessly tossed aside, Beleza calls for a retreat, though Vice sees this as an opportunity to finally test the might of the Delphinus against an actual Gigas. Locked in a close dogfight, Vice adeptly guides the crew to edging on a win against the legendary Gigas, grounding it back into its mountain, as Daigo meanwhile takes care of the advisor and reclaims Yafutoma. Afterwards, the king is deeply grateful to Vice and his crew, understanding Enrique's struggle to fix Valua and granting them usage of the blue crystal. Daigo is reinstated back into the royal family and gives Vice the secret knowledge of his people to fly to greater heights and depths than before, like the Yafutoman ships. Moegi then speaks up, wishing to travel with the group, specifically Enrique, to help enrich relations between the East and West, and they welcome her aboard. Proving the world is round, they sail through the hole near Ixataka the Armada made to arrive in Yafutoma, and finally return to their base on Crescent Island. There they see the renovations have been completed, on their fully fledged base and crew. Going with the momentum, they target the Purple Moon Crystal next in the Land of Ice down south. The ruins holding it have been encased in ice, so no one has ever disturbed them, so if the Delphinus can break the ice, then they stand a chance to get the crystal. Defeating some imposters, a giant squid, and some other aerial oddities along the way, they find the Land of Ice, ran through its ice layer, and venture into the frozen ruins. Within, they find an ancient city preserved perfectly in the ice, as it was home to powerful mages who used the ice layer to shield the city from the rains of destruction. Despite this, the entire culture suddenly mysteriously went extinct, yet deep within the city they are shocked to discover Drachma alive and well. He leads them to an inner chamber where they find Rochnum alive but dying due to fatal wounds from Ramirez's ship. Being stuck in Rochnum ended up saving Drachma's life as well, as it turns out he's been here with Rochnum this whole time, slowly watching it die. The group spots the purple crystal embedded into Rochnum, revealing Rochnum to be the purple Gigas this whole time, also learning that the former civilization here used the living arc whale as a base for their Gigas. Drachma admits he no longer harbors any hatred for Rochnum and has finally let go of his past, as the group watches the final moments of the arc whale together and Drachma puts his son's vendetta to rest. Looking for a new reason to keep living, Drachma leaves to do some soul searching, unable to join Vice despite the invitation and brief reunion. Returning to base, the group reviews that the remaining crystals are the yellow and silver crystals, and since the silver crystal is at home with the Sylvites, all that remains is taking the yellow crystal from the Empire. Enrique points out that all attempts to undo the massive seal have failed, but thanks to the upgraded engine technology they learned in Yafutoma, they can submerge deeper than the seal and enter the fissures and tunnels snaking underneath Valua. Unopposed, the group spots the yellow Gigas, but the beast awakens before them, shattering the seal that binds it and leaves clutching the yellow crystal. Giving chase, they dodge the fierce lightning thrown out by their toughest opponent yet, and succeed in knocking it out of the sky and gaining the last crystal they need. Returning to base, they're surprised to find Gilder there, waiting for them, who revels in their tales as they catch up. He asks the pressing question of where Fina is going back to exactly, and she somberly explains she is from the Great Silver Shrine, which survived by ancient magic lifting it higher in the sky than the Rains of Destruction could reach. Conventional ships cannot reach it, but the ship she arrived in could, but that was sunk by Alfonso when she was captured. She doesn't seem to have a way back immediately, but she confesses she kind of doesn't mind staying here with the group despite her orders. Group informs Weiss of new intel he's gotten, saying the Empire has been making progress in enabling ships to descend to deep sky, and is building a base north of Pirate Island. He mentions it's pretty unknown what lies beneath the sky, and it's believed to be dead land, but he thinks the Empire might be looking for Fina's crashed ship there. Meanwhile, we see the machinations of Galcian come to fruition as he prepares to make his move for himself. He gathers the admirals and assumes direct control of the entire armada, usurping the queen, and even Alfonso is shocked by this treason. The loyalties of the rest of the admirals are laid out, as Beleza will follow Galcian due to secretly being in love with him, Vigor and DeLoco have personal agendas so they don't care, and Gregorio openly questions Galcian's bid for unlimited power. Infiltrating this very island, the party sees DeLoco's ship get modified for deep sky travel and steal the plans for themselves, though they are spotted by Galcian. He quickly intercepts the party and brazenly admits the rising above the Empire's ambitions, though Gregorio now steps forward to oppose Galcian and his power-hungry madness. Sacrificing himself to buy them time to escape, Gregorio holds the line as long as he can, as the group succeeds in getting away as the noble admiral falls. Back at base, the Delphinus gets overhauled once more to survive the intense pressure of traveling to deep sky, and before they prepare to descend, Enrique announces his intent to return to Valua, given how Galcian has gone rogue and it needs to be reported. He understands the dangers, but insists he must perform this duty, as the group has no choice but to trust him. Finding the vortex breach the deep sky, the group descends to unknown depths, finding the world beneath a bleak world of mud and inhabited by bizarre specimens. Finding Fina's ship, they're interrupted by DeLoco arriving for the same objective, and the two skirmish, with Weiss once again victorious in the grudge match, ending the cycle once and for all. With this victory, they bid farewell to their friend Enrique, as he sails home a stronger man than he first arrived. Afterwards, they have a farewell feast for Fina, who treasures the time they spent with them all, and how much she learned of the world below, despite what the Sylvites warned her about. However, during the party, she quietly confesses to Weiss how much she doesn't want to leave them, but their moment is interrupted when the base is suddenly attacked. Marco bursts in, announcing the Armada is laying siege, as the party hurries out to see everything they built is now on fire, led by Ramirez, who demands the crystals. Refusing to abandon their home, Weiss and crew clash with the strongest Sylvite warrior, but are unfortunately no match for his overbearing power and swordplay. He successfully claims all 5 crystals from the party, and Fina confronts him on why he wants the crystals. Ramirez points out his original mission was to retrieve all the crystals first, and plan to steal them from Valua once they succeeded in gaining them all, but once he met Galcian, he saw someone strong enough who was different and disapproved of the weak state of the world like Ramirez did, and was strong enough to do something about it. He then reveals to Fina that it was actually the ancient Sylvites who called down the Rains of Destruction, as such as the power of all 6 crystals, as their mission is to unearth the lost continent of Soltis. He declares Galcian and himself will now raise Soltis and call down the Rains of Destruction again, as the final silver crystal has actually been with him the entire time. More specifically, every Sylvite has a silver crystal within them, even Fina, as it's actually their life force, and one can be retrieved from bodies upon death. Stretching out his hands, he begins killing Fina, but Gilder cuts him short with a shot from his ship, forcing him back, but declaring victory anyway. After recovering from the heavy loss, Fina does some deep thinking as everyone else works hard to rebuild and recover. She then approaches them to invite them back with her to the Silver Civilization to get answers in person. Meanwhile, Alfonso runs away to the Queen to inform her of Galcian's betrayal, garnering a promotion as reward, just as Enrique comes in to warn her of the same. The Empress gladly welcomes back her son and informs him they will meet Galcian in battle to take the crystals from him, but between Galcian's destruction and the Empress's destruction, Enrique has no choice but to turn his blade to his Queen Mother, though Beleza comes in to knock him out, still under Galcian's order. Back with the party, Gilder joins them as they make way now for the Silver Shrine, in their city higher than any airship could reach. Speaking to the elders there, they show her the Chronicles of Arcadia, in which they show her Soltis, the original continent under the Silver Moon, from which the Sylvites judged the war-torn world to be unsavable, and so created their own Gigas, Zelos, to create the Rains of Destruction and cleanse the world with fire. Sealing Zelos with the 6 crystals inside Soltis, they sent everything into Deep Sky, understanding it was too powerful to keep around. Now, they feel the world is once again too corrupt and must be cleansed again, hence why they sent Ramirez and Fina down to claim the crystals again. Knowing the horrible truth now, Vice confronts them on being no different from Galcian and wants him to kill everything that doesn't meet their approval, and Fina appeals to the Elder, speaking to the strength of will, wisdom, and kindness she experienced firsthand. Before the Elders can reply, Galcian suddenly appears in person to claim everything for himself, as Ramirez quickly sneak attacks the Prime Elder, killing him and claiming his silver crystal. Having everything they need, they quickly make their exit, and the Elders give up almost immediately, though Fina is still willing to fight while there's still a chance. Following Galcian back to his base, leading to Deep Sky, Figaro intercepts them as they take an elevator down to Soltis, eager to show off the girth of his cannon to the group. They defeat him and he takes the loss surprisingly well, choosing now to abandon the Navy and take up his new life as a pirate to pursue his life of skirt chasing. Catching up to Galcian, they catch him in the middle of breaking the seal on Zelos and are too late as he summons Zelos to raise Soltis. Fleeing from the collapsing base, they witness firsthand as the lost continent rises to the original spot in the sky, which so happens to be rooted in the original Shrine Island where this whole adventure began. As they board the Delphinus and approach, the landmass shields itself, blocking any landing or attack. Helpless, they watch as Galcian makes Valua his first victim, ordering the rain of destruction of the Yellow Moon to begin pelting down on the Imperial capital. Beleza and Enrique happen to be outside being escorted to her ship and can only watch in disbelief and horror as the entire capital, including the Empress and Alfonso, are wiped out among thousands of other lives. In shock and awe at the genocide, the party pulls back for now and returns to their base. Hard-pressed for ideas, Vice struggles to think of a strategy to win, but at this time a grim Enrique returns, convinced they have a shot. Knowing Galcian, he points out that now that Valua has been made an example of, Galcian will send out his armada to each country to personally guarantee surrender, and in that confident move they can strike. Gilder mentions that Delphinus cannot take on all of the armada on their own, and Vice is hard-pressed to agree. Grumpily stating they're all giving up too easily, Drachma now steps in, ready to finish the fight. With him outside are all of the other Sky Pirates and Blue Rogues he's befriended, helped, and even opposed in the past, all here to band together to fight Galcian for their very lives. That night, Beleza quietly takes her leave, telling Vice she won't fight her own men, but tells him he needs to man up and make sure to comfort Ica and Fina this last night before the final battle. Taking the advice and making good with both his lady friends, Vice prepares for the battle ahead. The next day, Vice and Delphinus lead the charge for the fate of the world as Galcian's flying fortress, the Hydra, begins to make its world tour. Barreling straight for him, the pirate fleet easily punches through Galcian's armada, as the Delphinus duels with the man-made Gigas strength of the Hydra, edging out a colossal victory and staggering Galcian's tower as it limps away from the battlefield. Doing things the old-fashioned way, Vice leads the boarding party to finish things off, and Galcian is there waiting. Teaming up, the tested metal of the Blue Rogues manage to beat down the blood-stained tyrant of the skies, though he hardly stays down as he gets away in an unexpected escape pod. However, Beleza now sweeps in, someone Galcian has expected to die in Valua, and despite her unrequited love for him, she knows his path of death and terror has to end, and so rams her ship into his, destroying them both in her lover's suicide. Looking on, Ramirez is devastated to witness the unexpected death of Galcian, and in his rage begins to use the Rains of Destruction on everyone. Suddenly, like its own meteor, the Silver Shrine begins plummeting as the remaining Elders choose to stop the misuse of Soltis by their own hands, seeing the error of their ways and sacrificing themselves to help save the world. The ensuing collision of energy blows everyone back, as the Silver Civilization is gone, taking down the shield around Soltis with it. With the way forward now open, Drachma and Enrique now come aboard as the entire group meets together to enter Soltis using Shrine Island. Forming the final boarding party, Vice and team make it to the center of Soltis, confronting Ramirez, who focuses his fury and grief against the people who foil his plans. Showing the growth of their teamwork, the group proves their will to live against the nihilistic Ramirez. Not willing to let it end like this, Ramirez sacrifices his life to Zelos, commanding the ultimate Gigas to absorb him and the shrine and end the world with its power. Getting out while they can, Fina observes Zelos is growing and is not yet finished, so they have a chance to stop it now. In it for one more dogfight, the power of the Delphinus is pushed to its limit to take down the final Colossus, marking a landmark victory for the Blue Rogues and earning a new tomorrow for everyone. As Zelos collapses, everyone breathes a sigh of relief, but it's too soon, as the core falls to the deck of the Delphinus and unfurls, revealing Ramirez still alive but fused to Zelos as a powerful but grotesque abomination. The man who would seize a better world for the strong by force bears down on the pirate who has proven hope always has a place in the future, and together, Vice, Ica, and Fina take down Ramirez, the strongest Sylvite. Disintegrating down to his core crystal, the fight is now truly over, as Vice still honors the fall of Ramirez with the final rites of any sailor. As the game ends, Soltis now begins to collapse, falling into deep sky never to be summoned again, as Fina, the last Sylvite, lets go of her past. Now looking to the future, the young pirates are eager to begin their next adventure, and invite their friends to come along. Fina agrees to join them going forward. Gilder will continue sailing for good times elsewhere. Drachma chooses to live out his days quietly as a fisherman again, and Enrique commits to returning to Valua and leading the rebuilding with the survivors. Before they part ways, the entire fleet cheers and returns to Crescent Island for the biggest feast and celebration party yet seen. As they each go on their separate ways afterwards, Enrique marries Princess Moegi as the world is learning to grow and recover with each other, with new cultures beginning to mix. From afar, Vice launches out on his newest ship, eager to find a new horizon to sail and dream to chase as the undisputed king of rogues. Skies of Arcadia has enjoyed the success of selling over 300,000 copies worldwide. This recapitation was chosen by Mark. Thank you so much for supporting the show as a patron. You have no idea how much I appreciate your generosity. If you would like to support the show yourself, please follow the Patreon link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next battlefield.